What happens when a younger man suddenly realizes he has become emotionally attached to an older woman? The signs are often right in front of her, yet many women never notice them. People like to believe that age gap relationships only work in one direction, but the human heart does not follow society's expectations. Today, you'll discover 11 specific phrases that often come from a younger man when his heart has quietly and sometimes deeply fallen for an older woman. When this kind of connection happens, his words begin to reveal emotions that even he may not fully understand. Stay with me until the very end, because these are not the obvious love confessions you might expect. In fact, they are usually so natural and so casual that many women mistake them for ordinary conversation. But once you understand what these phrases truly mean, you'll begin to hear them in a completely different way. His actions may still hesitate, his feelings may still be hidden. Yet his words often tell the story long before his courage catches up. That's what makes this so interesting. A younger man who unexpectedly falls for an older woman often enters an emotional space he never planned to visit. Everything he believed about attraction, relationships, and even himself suddenly feels different. He starts experiencing emotions that do not fit the picture he always imagined. Have you ever wondered if his compliments carried more meaning than they seemed? Keep watching, because what comes next may completely change the way you interpret those conversations. You may start replaying every moment in your mind. Was that compliment simply kindness, or was it genuine admiration? When he asks for your opinion, is he only looking for advice, or is he searching for another reason to spend time with you? Suddenly, every message, every smile, every shared laugh feels important. You begin questioning whether there is something deeper beneath the surface or whether you're reading too much into the situation. The uncertainty can become exhausting because emotions rarely arrive with clear explanations. Studies exploring relationship psychology have found something very interesting. When younger men develop sincere emotional feelings for older women, the way they communicate often changes in noticeable ways. They usually become more open with their emotions. They choose softer words. They reveal more vulnerability than they normally would, and they often look for emotional closeness instead of simply trying to impress someone. None of this is usually planned. It happens naturally because they are responding to a connection that feels different from anything they expected. Their usual communication style begins to shift without them even realizing it. The difference becomes even stronger because social expectations often make them question their own emotions. So instead of speaking directly, they reveal their hearts through small phrases that many people completely overlook. Before we get into those phrases, ask yourself one question. Could someone already be saying these things to you without you realizing what they truly mean? The answer might surprise you. While society often celebrates relationships between older men and younger women, the opposite situation is still surrounded by doubt, criticism, and unfair assumptions. Because of that, many younger men feel unsure about expressing their feelings openly when they fall for an older woman. Instead of making bold romantic confessions, they reveal their emotions through carefully chosen words. They test the connection with simple phrases. They hint at what they truly feel while trying to protect themselves from possible rejection. This is exactly why so many older women feel confused in these situations. You notice the warmth in his voice, but wonder if it is only kindness. You see the excitement in his eyes whenever you're together, yet you question whether you're imagining the chemistry. You feel the emotional closeness growing, then immediately tell yourself not to read too much into it. Sound familiar? Stay with me, because what you're about to hear could completely change the way you understand these moments. One important truth is this. When a younger man genuinely falls for an older woman, hiding those feelings becomes much harder than he expects. Even if he never says the words directly, his subconscious begins speaking for him. The way he talks to you becomes different. The way he speaks about you changes. Even the smallest conversations begin carrying more emotion than before. His words suddenly have greater meaning, stronger intention, and a level of honesty that even surprises him. That is why paying attention to these small details matters so much. Once you recognize these patterns, you stop questioning every interaction. You stop wondering whether his attention is real or whether you are only seeing what you hope to see. Instead, you begin understanding the difference between ordinary friendliness and genuine emotional attachment. There is another interesting point that many people never hear. Surveys focused on relationship patterns have shown that a large number of men between their mid-20s and mid-30s admit they have experienced deep emotional attraction toward women who were noticeably older than they were. Yet when asked whether they ever confessed those feelings, the majority admitted they stayed silent. Their reasons were remarkably similar. They feared rejection, they worried about appearing immature, they wondered whether anyone would take their feelings seriously. They also felt pressure from other people's opinions and social expectations. Because of those fears, they rarely express love through dramatic speeches. Instead, they communicate through ordinary conversations that quietly carry extraordinary meaning. Their strongest emotions are often hidden inside everyday comments that seem completely harmless on the surface. This is why your awareness becomes so valuable. If you can recognize the moments when his emotional guard slips, even for a few seconds, you'll begin to understand what is really happening beneath the calm exterior. Younger men may try to hide what they feel, but emotions have a remarkable way of finding their own voice. Keep watching, because the first phrase may sound surprisingly simple, yet it often reveals far more than any direct confession ever could. One of the clearest phrases is this: "You make everything make sense." At first, those words may sound like nothing more than a thoughtful compliment, but for a younger man, they often carry a much deeper emotional message. He is not only saying that you explain things well, he is quietly telling you that your presence brings peace to the confusion inside his own mind. Being around you helps him understand himself. Your perspective gives him clarity when life feels uncertain. During the challenges of early adulthood, many younger men are still discovering who they are and where they belong. Finding someone whose presence makes life feel calmer, more meaningful, and easier to understand can leave an unforgettable emotional impact. When he says these words, he is admitting something much bigger than simple admiration. He is telling you that you have become an important part of his emotional balance. You help him organize thoughts he could never explain before. You give him confidence without even trying. Very often he will smile nervously after saying it, laugh softly, or quickly change the subject because he suddenly realizes he has revealed more than he intended. That brief moment of honesty speaks louder than long romantic speeches. Other versions of this feeling might sound like, "I never looked at life that way until I met you," or "Talking to you always helps me think clearly," or "You help me understand myself better." These are not ordinary compliments. They are quiet signs that your presence has become deeply meaningful in his emotional world. Research into relationship psychology has repeatedly suggested that younger men who form strong bonds with older women often describe feeling emotionally grounded in a way they had never experienced before, especially compared with relationships that lacked the same level of understanding, maturity, and emotional safety. That feeling of emotional peace becomes so meaningful that he slowly begins to crave the calm he experiences whenever he is with you. So when he quietly says, "You make everything make sense," he is sharing far more than a simple compliment. He is telling you that your presence has become a source of stability in his life. You help him think more clearly. You help him breathe a little easier. You make difficult moments feel less overwhelming. In many ways, you have become the person who brings balance to his emotional world, and people rarely walk away from the person who gives them that kind of inner comfort. They remember them. They carry them with them. The next phrase is even more revealing. "I've never told anyone this before." Those few words often signal that something very deep is happening inside him. When a younger man starts sharing private memories, hidden fears, personal dreams, or painful experiences that he has kept locked away, it usually means he feels exceptionally safe with you. Most younger men protect their inner world carefully. They are still discovering who they are, what they believe, and where they belong. Opening that private space to someone else takes enormous trust. Pay attention to this moment because it matters more than most people realize. Stay with me because the next phrase reveals another layer that many women completely miss. This sentence often comes just before he shares difficult family experiences, childhood memories, personal insecurities, or worries about the future that he has never spoken aloud before. The most important word is never. He is not saying he rarely talks about these things. He is saying no one else has heard them. You are the first person he has trusted with that part of his life. In relationships like this, that level of openness is incredibly meaningful because it shows he feels emotionally safe enough to lower the walls he has spent years building. There is another reason this matters so much. Many younger men grow up believing they should always appear strong, independent, and emotionally controlled. They often learn to solve problems alone and avoid showing weakness. But around someone who makes them feel accepted without judgment, those habits slowly begin to fade. Your calm presence gives him permission to be honest about emotions he normally hides from everyone else. Studies in relationship psychology suggest that when men openly share thoughts and experiences they have kept secret for years, they often develop much stronger emotional attachment to the person listening. Their minds begin connecting that individual with safety, trust, and emotional relief. That is why this next phrase carries such importance. You're different from everyone else. At first glance, it sounds like an ordinary compliment, but its meaning runs much deeper. What he is really saying is that meeting you changed the way he thinks about relationships. Most of his previous experiences were likely with women close to his own age, people who were navigating similar life stages and similar uncertainties. Then he met someone whose confidence, maturity, emotional balance, and life experience felt completely different. Suddenly, his old ideas about attraction no longer fit. He realizes he is drawn toward qualities he never expected to value so deeply. This is not simple curiosity, it is emotional discovery. When he tells you that you are different, he is quietly admitting that you have changed what he believes love, connection, and emotional closeness can actually feel like. Very often he explains what he means. He may say, "You really listen to me," or "You don't play emotional games," or "You always know how to stay calm," or "I admire how confident you are." Every example points towards something he has been searching for without realizing it. Research exploring age gap relationships has repeatedly found that many younger men describe these connections as emotionally enriching. They often feel encouraged to grow, communicate better, and understand themselves on a deeper level. Another phrase that reveals powerful emotions is this: "I can't stop thinking about you." While anyone can say these words, they often carry special meaning in this situation. He is not only describing attraction, he is describing someone who has become part of his everyday thoughts. Younger men are usually busy building careers, creating goals, expanding friendships, and shaping their future. For one person to occupy his mind so consistently means something significant has shifted inside him. He may say it while explaining why he keeps texting, why he remembers small details about you, or why he keeps finding reasons to see you again. What he is really admitting is that you have become part of his emotional world even when you are not together. Then comes another phrase that deserves close attention. You understand me in a way no one else does. This is far more than appreciation for good conversation. It is a feeling of being truly seen. He believes you notice parts of him that others overlook. You understand not only what he says, but also why he feels that way. You recognize his fears, strengths, hopes, and hidden struggles. That kind of emotional understanding creates a powerful bond because it makes him feel accepted exactly as he is. Many relationship studies suggest that when someone feels deeply understood on an emotional level, attachment naturally grows stronger. In many cases, that emotional connection becomes even more meaningful than physical attraction because it gives him something he may have spent years searching for without ever finding it. Relationship studies have consistently found that people who feel deeply understood by their partners usually experience stronger emotional attachment and greater satisfaction than those whose connection is based mainly on physical attraction or shared interests. So when a younger man tells you, "You understand me in a way no one else does," he is revealing something much deeper than appreciation. He is describing an emotional closeness that feels rare in his life. He believes you see the real person behind the confident image he shows the world. You understand not only his words, but also the emotions hiding underneath them. That kind of connection creates trust that cannot be forced. It grows naturally through patience, acceptance, and honest conversations. Stay with me, because the next phrase reveals an even bigger shift taking place inside him. When he quietly says, "I want to be better because of you," he is not talking about changing to impress you. He is talking about becoming the person he genuinely wants to be. That difference matters. A younger man is often still shaping his future, building confidence, and discovering what kind of life he wants to create. If your presence inspires him to improve himself without pressure, then your influence has reached a very deep level. Maybe he starts working harder toward his goals. Maybe he begins taking better care of his health. Maybe he becomes more patient, more thoughtful, or more emotionally open. None of these changes happen because you demanded them. They happen because your example quietly inspires growth. He begins raising his own standards simply because knowing you makes him believe he is capable of becoming more. Research in relationship psychology has repeatedly shown that couples who encourage one another's personal growth often build stronger commitment and longer-lasting emotional bonds. When he says he wants to become better because of you, he is admitting that your presence has become a positive force shaping the direction of his life. You may notice that he starts talking about books he has begun reading, goals he has finally decided to chase, healthier habits he is developing, or dreams he had almost given up on. Listen carefully. Those stories are not random updates. They are often quiet signs that he wants you to see his progress because your opinion matters deeply to him. Another phrase that surprises many women is this: "I've never felt this mature before." At first it may sound unusual, but its meaning is powerful. He is not saying that you are trying to change him. Instead, he is recognizing that being around you naturally brings out a wiser, calmer, and more thoughtful version of himself. He notices that he reacts differently to challenges. He becomes more patient during disagreements. He starts making decisions with greater care instead of acting only on impulse. Your emotional balance encourages him to respond to life in healthier ways without you ever giving a lecture or telling him what to do. That realization often catches him off guard because he begins noticing qualities in himself that he did not know were there. Relationship experts have long observed that strong partnerships often help people grow into better versions of themselves. When someone feels emotionally supported, they naturally become more confident, responsible, and secure. That is exactly what this phrase is revealing. He associates his own emotional growth with the time he spends around you, making your connection feel even more valuable in his mind. Another phrase carries just as much emotional weight. "You make me feel like I can tell you anything." Those simple words describe one of the strongest foundations any relationship can have. Many younger adults spend years feeling as though they have to hide their fears, weaknesses, mistakes, or insecurities in order to appear attractive or successful. They edit their emotions. They carefully choose what they reveal. But when someone finally feels completely accepted, those emotional walls begin to disappear. If he tells you he can talk to you about anything, he is saying that he no longer feels the need to pretend. He believes you will listen without quickly judging him. He trusts that even when he shares difficult parts of his life, you will respond with understanding instead of criticism. That kind of emotional safety is rare, and because it is rare, it becomes unforgettable. Usually, this moment happens after he has shared something deeply personal and discovered that you accepted him exactly as he was. Once that trust is confirmed, conversations become deeper, honesty becomes easier, and emotional closeness grows naturally. Research on long-term relationships has consistently shown that emotional safety and open communication are among the strongest predictors of lasting commitment. So when a younger man says, "I feel like I can tell you anything," he is revealing that your relationship has moved beyond casual attraction. In his heart, you have become someone he trusts with the parts of himself that almost no one else ever gets to see. And once that level of trust is built, the emotional connection often becomes much stronger than either person expected. The ninth phrase is simple, but it carries incredible emotional weight. I never want this to end. At first, it may sound like something anyone would say while enjoying a happy moment, but when those words come from a younger man who has unexpectedly fallen for an older woman, they often reveal something much deeper. Many younger men enter these connections with few expectations about the future. They may feel curious, they may feel attracted, they may simply enjoy the conversation. Yet somewhere along the way, those early feelings quietly grow into genuine emotional attachment. When he tells you he never wants what you share to end, he is admitting that the relationship has become far more meaningful than he ever imagined. These words usually appear during moments of closeness, honest conversations, or peaceful silence when he suddenly realizes how different this connection feels compared to anything he has experienced before. He begins understanding that age, outside opinions, and social expectations matter far less than the happiness and emotional comfort he finds with you. Research on romantic attachment has often shown that unexpected relationships can create especially strong emotional bonds because they develop naturally instead of following a predetermined path. Keep listening, because the next phrase reveals an even bigger shift taking place inside him. When he says he never wants this to end, he is quietly admitting that losing this connection has become one of his greatest fears. He has discovered something that feels rare, genuine, and deeply valuable, and for the first time he cannot imagine simply walking away from it. Then comes the 10th phrase, "You've changed how I see everything." These words reach far beyond romance. They show that your influence has touched the way he thinks about life itself. A younger man is often still building his beliefs about relationships, work, family, success, and happiness. When someone enters his life who offers wisdom, emotional balance, and a different perspective, those conversations begin changing more than his feelings. They begin changing his outlook. He may start rethinking career choices because of discussions you've had together. He may repair family relationships after hearing your perspective. He may discover new goals, healthier priorities, or a calmer way of handling life's challenges simply because of the influence your presence has had on him. Relationship psychology consistently suggests that when people feel a romantic partner has positively changed the way they view the world, they often report stronger commitment and greater satisfaction with life. That is why this phrase matters so much. He is not saying you changed his personality, he is saying you expanded his perspective. You helped him notice possibilities he had never considered before. Your impact reaches beyond the relationship itself and becomes part of the way he understands his future. That kind of influence is rarely forgotten because it becomes woven into his personal growth. Stay with me until the very end, because the final phrase brings everything together in a way that explains the entire emotional journey. The last and perhaps the most revealing phrase is this: "I love who I am when I'm with you." These words bring together every emotion we have talked about. They speak of trust, growth, emotional safety, acceptance, and the quiet confidence that comes from being fully yourself around another person. When a younger man tells an older woman that he loves the person he becomes in her presence, he is sharing one of the deepest compliments possible. He is not saying that you ask him to change, quite the opposite. Your presence naturally encourages the best parts of his personality to come forward. Around you, he feels calmer, more confident, kinder, more thoughtful, more emotionally open, and more genuine. He realizes that he laughs more easily, communicates more honestly, and believes in himself more than he did before. That realization creates a powerful desire to stay close to the person who helps him become his best self. Studies on healthy relationships have repeatedly found that people who feel they become stronger, happier, and more authentic with their partner usually experience the highest levels of long-term commitment. When we look back at these 11 phrases together, a clear picture appears. You make everything make sense. I've never told anyone this before. You're different from everyone else. I can't stop thinking about you. You understand me in a way no one else does. I want to be better because of you. I've never felt this mature before. You make me feel like I can tell you anything. I never want this to end. You've changed how I see everything. And finally, I love who I am when I'm with you. Each sentence reveals another piece of genuine emotional attachment. Together, they tell the story of a heart that has quietly found peace, trust, growth, and a connection it never expected. If you have heard some of these words before, don't rush to dismiss them as ordinary conversation. Listen closely. They may be revealing feelings that are much deeper than they first appear. Real love rarely follows other people's rules, but it almost always leaves honest clues through words, actions, and moments of quiet vulnerability for those who know how to recognize them.